Welcome to What's in the Box, episodes of horror with Donna and Eric. I'm Donna. Eric is not with us to do this interview today. And we're continuing our Texas AuthorCon author spotlights with Ben Chadwick. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Donna. How are you? It's nice to meet you.
Good. It's nice to meet you as well. Ben will be at Texas AuthorCon in July, July 14th and 15th in the Dallas area. So if you're going to be at the event, definitely stop by his table. So Ben, we have a couple of fun questions to start off with. The first one is, Jason, Michael, or Freddy? Who is your favorite?
It's going to be Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. Okay.
Yeah,
And
he was the first for me.
Oh, was he? Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. And now, vampires or werewolves?
Vampires.
Really?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Wow, that's interesting. Most of the people we've interviewed have said werewolf, so that's cool. Any particular reason, or they're just more interesting to you?
One of my first authors that I truly fell in love with their literature is Brian Lumley, and of course has
The Necroscope.
Necroscope, exactly.
Yeah.
His take on vampirism as a whole just opened up so much for that subgenre of horror. And I've yet to really read anything else that I personally believe tops the vampiri as a whole. Their brutality, their pure evil, the metamorphosis that they can go through. They're not just vampires, they are like the evolution of vampires, in my own belief.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I like a nice, brutal, evil vampire when I am reading vampires. I don't like I've read what is it called? Probably like dark erotica or something, vampire or smut or whatever you want to call it. And Anita Blake, her vampires are more sensual, kind of like the Anne Rice Lestat vampire type. I like my vampires nasty and just mean and brutal, and I don't like my vampires to look like humans. I like them when they get all weird. I don't know if you've ever seen Subspecies.
Oh yes, Radu Vladislas is actually
Radu, yes.
my favorite vampire characters ever. My wife actually was able to find a little action figure of Radu at an
Oh,
antique
wow.
shop, and I have him on my bookshelf with a whole bunch of other just random stuff.
Yeah, Subspecies is one of my favorite movies back in the 90s. I mean, it's still one of my favorites. I could watch it over and over and over again. I actually just watched Subspecies like 2 weeks ago. I just got a hankering for it, and I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. So,
And they're supposed to be coming out with a new one pretty soon. So far as I know, they're still recording, like making the movie in Romania. So,
oh wow, yeah, I'll have to definitely keep an eye on that. So as a kid, what was your favorite scary movie?
actually, it would have to be Halloween. Like a lot of kids, when I was really young, horror movies did what they were intended to do. They scared me, and for the longest time, I couldn't quite break that cycle of being scared of them. And then one day I was like, people have talked about this Halloween movie. They talked about Michael Myers. I'm going to see what it's about. And I was maybe 9 or 10, I believe, at the time. I just sat and watched it by myself. And it's like after watching the first one, the floodgates opened. I decided I wanted to watch the entire series that they had at the time. And my mom, who was supportive of me branching out into different things, she actually went and she allowed me to watch it. We had Blockbuster at the time, if that tells
Yeah.
my age.
Yeah.
And so we would go and she rented the movies for me, and I just sat and watched them. And to this day, my all-time favorite is actually Halloween 6. And I know that's kind of like people consider it the black sheep of the original series, but that is my personal favorite. But it was Halloween that got me into horror movies and just into horror as a general.
Nice. Now, would you say that still as an adult, that's your favorite horror movie?
Almost definitely. It is one of the only movies that I can actually sit and watch probably day after day and never get tired of it whatsoever.
Nice. All right. So if somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, I've not really read horror before, but I want to start reading horror," what book would you suggest, or books? You can suggest multiple.
Um, I think a lot of that would have to be determined on what they're able to take in as the meaning of horror. So, like, do they want something that is brutal and
Uh-oh, I think it froze.
unrelenting, or do they want something that's a little bit of bloody gore and things like that in there for a starter vampire movie? Played Brad Pitt, played Louis. You know, they're softer versions of a vampire. I mean, there's still some brutality, but without the excess blood and gore. But then if they wanted to go for something like, say, body horror, my favorite body horror series is Hostel. And I would say, you know, start with a Hostel movie for a body horror. Zombie films, I would say, you know, always go with the best. Start with the original Night of the Living Dead, and then see where that takes you from there. Um, but I think it should be determined on, you know, I guess in terms of nowadays, you know, what their triggers could technically
Yeah.
be. Because, you know, there are some movies out there I've seen that are brutal for the point of being brutal. And I know there are some people who may not want something like that. They want something a little softer. So it's like you can go with a soft horror that's maybe more like suspense, kind of like The Stepfather would be a good suspenseful horror movie. You know, instead of going something full blood and gore like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or any of the original trio, Freddy, Jason, and Michael.
Michael, yeah. Now, would you do the same for books? Would you like throw them some, Aaron Beauregard and say, here's your intro to horror? Or would you say, maybe start with like maybe Fear by Ronald Kelly, because that's kind of a,
Um, Again, I think it would be determined on what they can take. A psychological horror is definitely something you have to mess with your mind. Can rub a lot of people just the right way, and that's what they want to stick with. If I was going to like mention an Aaron Beauregard, I would have to mention my favorite, which so far has been Wedding Day Massacre. Just
mine too.
everything, everything in that book just screams brutality.
Yeah.
Certain scenes, you know, there are people out there who just can't really take certain scenes in that book, and it's like, okay, well, you know, we understand, but for those of us who can, that's just, you know, literature gold right there is what it is. I would say the same for Awakened in Blood by Volpe. That's so far my favorite from Daniel is Awakened in Blood. Um, so then you have books like Unabortion from
Hmm.
Mr. Mercy. You just, you know, topics like that, some people just can't, you know, handle, you know, or it's not that they can't handle it, they don't know what they're getting into yet. So in answer, I guess like start off with something small. Like I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I would say start off with a Stephen King short story collection like Skeleton Crew.
Mm.
That's something I did when I was younger because to me, Stephen King is more wordy in a lot of his descriptions. It's not that his stuff isn't bad. It's not my particular favorite kind of horror. I love the movies, but it's
Yeah.
real difficult to get into his books. But he kind of eases you into some of his stuff instead of just dropping it all at once. So I guess I would, you know, say, hey, you know, start with like a Stephen King or a Dean Koontz, you know, something like that. And then if you find your taste for, you know, brutality increasing, then you could go to, you know, Aaron Beauregard, Daniel Volpe, Matt Shaw. The first time I read How Much To from Matt Shaw, I was just like,
Yeah.
what am I reading here?
Yeah. He's
And
crazy.
yeah, it definitely. I mean, his stuff is great. I can't wait for his newest stuff to come out.
Yeah. My first experience with extreme horror was Mother Maggot by Simon McCarty. I just dove right off the deep end. I was like all in. I'm like, I'm not easing myself into this at all.
And then of course there's some of that the bizarro stuff from like Carlton Millick. That stuff is just off the wall nuts. I
Yeah.
mean, how he comes up with his stuff, I have no idea, but I hope he never stops because it is just all great.
Yeah, I haven't read any Carlton Mellick yet. I really recently just started getting into Bizarro with Matt Clark and Planet Bizarro Press. I read from them. It was written by Duncan Reed. I think I'm saying his name right. The Secret Sex Lives of Ghosts. It was so good, and I'm like, this is like one of the best things I've read in a long time. So Bizarro is really great. I love Bizarro. I definitely have to read more of it. I also just recently read A Puppet Scorned by, let me find out who the author is. I can't remember. Court something. Oh, let me look real quick. I can't believe I forgot his name. It's basically dark puppet erotica. And it has some like it's horror, it's Bizarro horror. One of the puppets like is using like bug carcasses and stuff like that, and it's just weird. Why can't I see that on here? Where are you?
That definitely sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna drive me crazy if I can't find. Oops. I'm trying to search my Goodreads. Jamie Court, Kort, A Puppet Scorned. It's a short book, but it's totally insane. And like, you don't think it would be terrifying because it's about sock puppets, but it's truly terrifying. Yeah, it's amazing what some people come up with.
It really is, and I think that's one of the best things about it.
Yeah, I love all the different ideas, and even though some are a little bit similar, they're still very different, you know. So what would be your favorite horror novel if you had to pick?
It would actually be Necroscope Blood Brothers, the first of the Vampire World trilogy. Anytime I find myself in a position where I just can't read something, I go back to that book and I just start reading it. And everything about that book is just beautiful in its own way because it details the vampire world that Brian Lumley created. And the way it's detailed of Sunside Starside, where the Vampiri live and where their prey, the Scanny, live, and how they're just everything about that world is amazing in its own way. The beauty of Sunside, but also the fear that they have because they know that once night comes, they're prey. And
Mm-hmm.
when he talks about the Vampiri and their homes, which are the Ares of Starside, um, the fact that they use human flesh and human organs to create um, like pipes and things for running water, and they
Oh
use
wow.
human skin as curtains. It's just every detail of it has its own uniqueness, and it's my go-to. If I had to be on a stranded island, Blood Brothers would be the one book that I would want.
Okay. I have not read any Lumley. It's on my list, but so I'll have to check that one out. So you write horror, correct? Your genre of preference is horror?
Uh, Definitely try to.
Yeah.
I did publish my first book last year, Where the Dead Go to Play and Other Tales of Terror. It's a collections book, just random stuff. Some of it is actually poetry. I actually wrote poetry for a very long time when I was in school. It was kind of my outlet. I also wrote song lyrics to songs that will never be played because I never put music to them. It was just lyrics, but they were always dark in nature. So during the 90s when I was in school, I was kind of part of that goth scene. So Nine Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, Slayer, all that kind of stuff, Rob Zombie. I listened to it and that kind of influenced me and how I wrote. And I just decided one day that I didn't want to write song lyrics anymore because I knew music would never be put to it. So I started writing dark poetry and just started to go from there.
Oh, nice. So you have, do you think you'll put out at some point a book of dark poetry, just poetry, or you think you'll stick with short fiction collections?
I think I would probably stick to the horror fiction. I will always integrate a poem into it if one comes to mind, but more so now I'm just more interested in writing full stories. Maybe not novel length yet. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to, you know, critique myself as I write because I am self-published, and
Mm.
so I use the tools that I have to be able to do my own editing. Um, make sure that the story is how I would like it to be read, so that it's understandable to me, but also to a potential reader. But like my collections book, I do have about 3 or 4 poems that I integrated into it alongside a couple of short stories and then my travels.
Nice. I love Drabbles. I love collections of Drabbles. It's great to get a feel for the writer's style when you read a Drabble, because if you can capture my attention and give me the chills in 100 words, you're a star. That's like hands down. Writing a 100-word story is way harder, I think, than writing a 6,000 or a 10,000 or a 30,000 word story, because you've got just this small space to really impact your readers. Now, when you're writing, do you have music playing? What do you got going on in the background when you're writing?
When I was working on my first one, it was fairly quiet the majority of the time. I would just be either at the library or in my bedroom while my kids were at school and my wife was at work, and I would just sit and start typing away. But some of the stories I discovered that I needed something in the background to help influence my writing, and I would listen to pagan folk music with no lyrics,
Okay.
just like the flutes and the drums, the harps, even a hurdy-gurdy and things like that. Just anything to help be calming. And then I think I wrote at least 1 or 2 of my stories with some of that music in the background.
Okay, nice. Now, do you think if you had something with lyrics that it would distract you too much?
It would most definitely because I don't have the ability of writing while listening to lyrics because my mind will naturally want to start saying the lyrics. And
Mm.
then, as terrible as a singer as I am, I will start singing to it as well. So it has to be instrumental. And if I come across a song that I hear any kind of chanting or anything, I'll automatically just pass that one and go to something else that has no kind of vocalization whatsoever. I need it to be just music. Because if my mind latches onto words, then I'm no longer concentrating on the story that I'm
Mhm.
writing. I'm concentrating on what they're saying. And that gets me out of the mood to continue writing. And I just want to sit and listen to the music. And I can't get writing done if I'm listening to lyrics.
Yeah, that's the way I am when I write. I have to have it completely quiet. Um, I can't have anything going to TV, any kind of music. The only noise I could have is potentially a fan. Like if
Yeah.
it were kind of warm, I'd have a fan going. But other than that, I can't have any distractions, which is why I don't have a lot of writing because it's never quiet in my house. And when it is quiet, I'm working. So,
Yeah.
um, so do you have any projects you're working on now? Um,
Actually, I do. I have my first novella that I'm working on. It's titled Loophole Game, and it is about witches. Uh, I've incorporated a couple of friends into it, one of them being Roland versus Junior himself. I asked him if he wanted to be a character in the story I was writing about witches, and he loved the idea, so he went
he
with it.
loves witches. He loves
He really
witches.
does. That's why I wanted to go with him on that one. Uh, and then a friend of mine from work that liked the idea and she wanted to be in it as well. So I'm about halfway through. I'm finishing up chapter 7, and then I have to rework another chapter because as I was writing, a couple of new ideas came, and so I need to go back and kind of fix the other chapter to make everything flow better. And I am hoping to have it edited and published at least before mid-June. That way, I have enough copies to sell at the AuthorCon.
Oh, nice. That would be great. Yeah, I looked up your collection book online. I'm trying to get something from everybody that's going to be there so I can at least have like a taste of what they've written. But there's so many people and I have so many books on my TBR already. It's crazy because I was just at AuthorCon 2 in Williamsburg. And I came home with a suitcase full of books, and I still haven't read all the books that I got at AuthorCon 1 last year. So yeah, I'm a voracious reader, but you know, there's only so much time of the day, and if I want to write, I can't be reading, right? I'm already up to I think 90 books I've read this year, so
Oh, wow.
it's crazy.
Great.
Yeah. So people can find your book on Amazon, I'm assuming. That's where I found
Yes,
it.
yes, and it's also available on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay. Do you have a website where you sell signed copies, or is that not something you've gotten into yet?
Not yet. Since I only have the one book published, I don't want to jump into the deep end with anything. I want to kind of get at least another 2 or 3 books under my belt before I decide to, venture out into other things. Um, so, yeah, I'm going to wait on the website until I know that, the books that I do put out, are at least, making at least a small impact. Um, I would love for people to be able to, find the book, read it, love it, hate it, whichever one they decide, because, it's literature, it's there for everybody. So, that's what I want to do. I just want to wait until I have more going for me before I do anything like a website.
Yeah. Okay. Now, were you at Texas AuthorCon last year with a table, or
No, I
no?
just went and bought some books. I believe I got some from Eric, his Don, Texas. Bought 1 or 2 from Patrick C. Harrison. Uh, I met Mike Innenbach, but I don't believe we got one of his books while we were there. And then, of course, I bought Baker's Dozen from Roland Bercy. So I think that was about all that we were able to do last year. It's kind of a short notice thing.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't even able to really be there as long as I wanted to. But this year I've taken the time out because I will actually be participating. I'm sharing a table with Roland, which
Oh, nice.
I'm really excited for.
Lucky. I don't think I'm too far away. I don't think I'm too far away from you guys. I'm sharing a table with Jason Nicky. So
Very nice.
he's kind of a newer author as well. But I've known him since AuthorCon last year. So we're always talking. But yeah, I'm excited to get out there and see. Are you going to do any readings or panels? Have you signed up for any of those?
I don't believe I did. No, I did not. Again, with me being new to being published, I don't want to like put myself out there just quite yet. I want to at least get my novella published, and I do have another idea for another collections book later down the line. I've already got some stuff laid out for it. I want to wait until at least I have those out, and then maybe in another year or 2, I'll probably do something like a panel or a reading.
Nice. Yeah, I'm also. No, I could not do a panel or a reading. my anxiety would not let me. I hope Meryl doesn't ask me to. Because I mean, in a pinch, if I have to, I will. But I'm just gonna pretend that I'm not there when he's looking for. If he looks for somebody to do a panel or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for joining me on this. We will let you know when this episode is going to air. That way you can share it to your friends and family so they can watch your interview. And we'll have the links, like I said, to Ben's Amazon page in the description of the video on YouTube. And come on out to Texas AuthorCon, July 14th and 15th in Richland, Texas. Richland, right?
Richardson.
Richardson. I always say Richland. I don't know why. I bought, I know where it is because I'm going there, but I can't get it straight in my head. So thank you for joining us, Ben, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you for having me.